Welcome to the Landscape Photography Vlogcast, hosted by myself, Tom Peters, aka the Photo Ninja, all the way up north, Paul Thompson Photography, and truth mate, it's Matt Bishop. We cover all things photography and chat to some of the best photography minds in the business. Put your feet up, the kettle on, and let's jump straight into this week's Vlogcast. Proudly sponsored by F-Stop Camera Bags, making lives of the visual storyteller easier.
First, light. Everything else follows, for light is the language of photography, as well as its raw material. As a poet uses words, so a photographer uses light. My photography is an attempt to express the most beautiful and powerful qualities of light that I encounter. When I plan to take pictures, it is planning for the light, and when I make my pictures, I seek to capture its essence. While I often use first light, dawn, I also work in the fading light, dusk. Sometimes I even work in the middle of the day, as this book will reveal. For the title is really about priorities. First, light. This is the introduction to one of my favourite landscape photography books, written by the brilliant Joe Cornish. And the book is titled First Light. And as you can tell, this evening, guys, we're going to be talking about light, aren't we? Is that what the subject is about, guys?
I think so. Well, it is now, yeah. I think that was the idea. Well, welcome to the new podcast, guys. How's everything been going on? What have you all been doing?
Yeah, just busy, mate. Just being busy. Really, it's been a case of just getting a few videos done, getting out, getting lots of shooting done. What about you? How are you getting? I've seen you've been getting back out again.
Yeah, I have been going out under the radar. I've just felt like telling people about it a bit more. I just feel like a bit more chilled, less pressure, I suppose. Where when the family routine's better now.
Yeah.
So I just feel more relaxed when I'm out, and yeah. Feel like I'm ready to sort of ease my way back into doing YouTube videos again.
Yeah. Not quite on the weekly scale, probably.
Probably not just yet. I've definitely got enough videos if I can get the editing done for weekly videos. I've got enough of a buffer, but yeah, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Well, I think I am. I just need to be more organised.
Now about you, Matty boy.
Oh. Yeah. We had a 47-minute conversation before we started the podcast tonight, didn't we, guys?
Yeah. He's burnt himself out already.
Yeah, look, I won't go into details because we shouldn't do that, but sometimes it's not easy. I'm not going to say I'm a professional photographer, but some of the work I do in photography is, let's say, titled professional, and sometimes being a professional photographer isn't easy because you have to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
Abusive comments, dealing with brands, putting in a lot of hard effort to try and please people and not getting anything back, putting hard work into, putting workshops out there. The amount of effort that just goes to put a workshop together is just huge. I mean, there's so much work into everything on a professional end, and it can get really, really hard sometimes. And at the moment, yeah, it is. It's doing my head in a little bit. I would like to just sort of disappear for a little while and just enjoy photography.
You know, have a kid, mate. That's what you want.
Yeah, that would fix it, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
No, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, definitely. The second kid at 43 years old. Yeah. Nah, it's not going to happen. No, I love my kids, but that's it. Yeah, that's as far as it goes. So, yeah, anyway, as you could tell from that little piece of writing that I just read out a minute ago, that was, an introduction to the brilliant book. If anyone doesn't know, the book is called First Light, and I'm sure you can still find copies of it out there, written by Joe Cornish, and it's my favourite book of his. It's a brilliant book, and he talks about light.
Yeah.
And he talks about first light. Now, the thing is to understand is we're not referring to first light as in the first light of the day. We're talking about the first priority in landscape photography is the light. And within those words, I don't know if you heard me say that he's talking about dawn and dusk, but there's also the middle.
Yeah.
Now, that was what we're going to talk about today, that middle part. So what is that middle part, guys? What are we referring to?
Well, we've had a discussion before, haven't we, about this? Because I've often said for a long time now, for a long time since I've gone professional and I've done this more for a living, is that if you were to rely solely on sunrise and sunset times, you limit yourself quite a lot. Not only creatively, but obviously with time as well. And I think people underestimate the amount of decent images you can get during the day, daytime photography. In between the hours of sunrise and sunset, it doesn't always have to revolve around that. It's basically what I think anyway.
Why do you say you're limiting yourself for, Paul?
Well, for me,
you lose sleep.
I lose sleep. I don't like getting up early. I'll admit it. But no, not just that. I'm not. It's a case of you're relying on that hour.
I'm just saying that because I've been with this guy and getting him out of bed in the morning is like trying to drag a wet sock off the ground.
I'm not a fan, I must admit, but also I also feel that if you rely on those times of sunrise and sunset, your images can become samey. They can have the same sort of light on them. They can have the same sort of, feel about them. Whereas if you're willing to shoot that whole day through, you're going to get different conditions all day. Now, obviously, you've only got a certain amount of conditions you can fit into an hour of light in the morning and an hour of light in the evening. You're basically limiting yourself to 2 hours shooting in a day.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're out on a workshop, that's kind of time, isn't it?
I mean, you couldn't
precious time.
You couldn't run a workshop and say, oh, by the way, guys, so I'm going to take you on a workshop and we're basically going to go out for 2 hours a day.
Yeah, but there is workshops out that do that, unfortunately. Yeah. I remember one bloke actually contacted me once and said, look, just asking you about Patagonia. Just want to know, do we go out and do sunset shoots and that's it? And I was like, no, why? Oh, just because, I just came back from one. I won't tell you the name of the guy he went with, quite a famous landscape photographer in the United States, and said, we just basically did sunset shots because during the day, he said the light was no good, and in the morning everyone was too drunk from the night before to go out and take photos. They just partied all the time.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, I couldn't bring myself to do that.
No way.
As a workshop leader.
As a workshop leader, you should be out all day. And, even if you can get some night shoots in there, even better.
Yeah.
But people
just
are there for a
not too
reason.
Early in the morning for me, that's all. After a skinful of wine.
Yeah, that's why you got me, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, I really do. I mean, I've even started when I go out shooting my YouTube videos. For me, it's not only because I don't like mornings, but if I was to rely on just going out for a morning and filming my video, I don't think I'd be able to do a weekly video. Whereas I give myself a day to go and film.
Okay.
That whole day.
Right.
So that could be obviously not sunrise at the minute because it's just way too early.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And logistically, well, it's not just that, but you've still got kids at home. You've still got stuff going on. You've still got things to sort out. You can't just walk out of the house and go and, do what you want to do. You've still got responsibilities as well as doing your full-time job. And for me, if I can go out that little bit later, I'll go out and I'll be on field maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. I've still got all day to be able to film. I've got all day to be able to get images, and it takes the pressure off. And I think that's one of the main things is not only are you limiting yourself to that 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour at night.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself under pressure to get those images in that period of time and not giving yourself enough time to explore the areas you're visiting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's almost like it's the same sort of. It's not just the time you're restricting; it's the creativity, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like saying, "Oh, I'm only going to shoot that one location today," or I'm only going to shoot with a wide angle lens.
Yeah.
You're completely limiting your creativity.
Well, yeah, when you're half asleep in the
Yeah.
morning, and you still got the dribble coming out the side of your face, you know, and you got a bit of sleep stuck in your eye.
Yeah. That's most of the day, to be fair.
Tom's last YouTube video, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it that bad? Did I look that bad? Did I?
Yeah, you looked as though you were pretty tired looking, mate.
Did I? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it's just tan, isn't it? It's just the tan that makes my eyes look darker.
Of course, must be.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's it just seems crazy to me that anyone would ever preach. Yes, you can get some more, obviously softer not directional, softer light, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get better shots, does it?
No,
necessarily.
I don't think it is.
You know, I mean, depends what you're shooting, doesn't it? You know?
It very much does. I mean, to be honest, mountain photography or anything to do with
Did you
mountain.
just say photography?
No, I don't think so. Did I?
You meant mountain photography.
Did I? Photography. That'll be the sherry talking.
Yeah, you just turned all southern, or some southern American.
I'm having a cup of with my really dodgy thermos free. So
Is
I
that
won't. Don't
even go there.
Do it.
Is that the one that doesn't fit in any cup holder in the
Yeah,
world?
that's the one. Yeah, it's the one all three of us got. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
no, don't go there. Yeah. So who was talking?
I don't know.
I thought we was going to do a round so talking about what we drank.
Oh, what we drank. Yeah, so I'm having tea this evening. Yeah, because look, a podcast is not a good idea for me to drink because, like, I'm so stupid as it is with my words anyway. If I start drinking alcohol, those 7 people listen to the podcast won't listen to it anymore. Hi, Mum.
Hey, there was quite a lot. Listen to the last one, we have to say.
Was there?
Yeah. I think there's quite a lot of listens on the last one now.
Well, I have got a bit of a confession. I am drinking American bourbon out of a Scotch glass. So yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Ooh, that's sacrilege. That is.
that is sacrilege. Yeah, they would stone me if they knew, but they don't. So well, they do now. But yeah, like it just baffles me when people say that's them sorts of things, or especially on a workshop. Like, you know, at the end of the day, it's not just about, like, whenever I don't know, it's different for me because I do woodland stuff, but you're not just going to shoot certain locations the whole time, you know?
No.
Like, even when you go to Patagonia, Matt, you're not shooting, I know you obviously are shooting the iconics, but you're not, you know, you're not shooting just that, are you?
No.
You know, it's about obviously, surely, that if you go on a workshop, I would want to be taught how to, if I needed any help with a camera, it's all about compositional learning skills and, you know, stuff like that. That's the day-to-day in the field tips and sort of tuition. It's not just about stand there at the perfect time twice a day.
It's about preparing yourself when you're in the bad light. When you're in the bad light too, aren't you? Getting yourself for composition and everything.
Yeah, and it goes further than that. You know, it's about prepping your bag and making sure you got the right clothes, and, you know, and doing this and just getting yourself ready. And the whole process is what I would think. If someone paid $4,500 to go to Utah with someone, I would want more than just stand there in the morning and then stand there at night.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? I would.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, personally, for me, it's more about being able to know that you can kind of get images from any kind of light. It's about working with the light that you're given at any one point in time. Yeah. Rather than kind of saying, well, the light's no good now. We'll come back later.
Well, definitely.
How about using that light that you have to your advantage? If you've got harsh light, well, go for smaller scenes.
Yeah.
use that harsher light to illuminate the smaller scenes.
Backlit trees.
Yeah,
that harsh
trees.
scene.
all of that stuff.
Look,
Waterfall. I did a video a couple of weeks ago there about harsh light, funnily enough. And waterfalls, people would say, oh, you can't shoot waterfalls in harsh light. Oh, that's rubbish. If you zoom in and go smaller and control the light and get backlit water, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks really amazing. It's just being able to learn to control the conditions with the light that you're given, I think.
I don't know if you guys have seen, just talking about the waterfall and harsh light, I took in, for those 7 people that are listening who don't know, I, for some really, really odd reason, I'm still not sure why, Pentax actually gave me their monochrome camera to test out.
Yeah.
And there was one image I took of a waterfall.
And you've got sliding doors, haven't you?
I do.
He had to go there,
That's an
didn't he?
inside joke, guys. It's an
He had to
inside
go
joke.
there, didn't he?
He had to go there. Pentax monochrome doorstop. Funny. What I want to say was I took you bloody Jesus. Anyway,
I was going to add to that, but I don't know.
you were gonna. That's anyway. Yeah. Look, I only had the camera for 3 days. I don't have it now. Anyway, very good camera. Won't go. I'm not going to advertise Pentax, but what I'm going to talk about is harsh light and waterfall photography. And when I had that camera, I was out shooting a waterfall. And I don't know if you've seen that image I took. You probably didn't because you don't care. But anyway, I'll tell you anyway.
No, I've seen it.
I actually zoomed in on a waterfall that would have been about 5 meters tall, right, with this rock face, beautiful rock face. And I sort of took the rock face and the waterfall, but not the whole entire scene. And so I sort of zoomed in a bit and took the image in black and white. Obviously, it's a monochrome sensor. Took it at 1 to 5 thousandths of a second. And have you seen more powerful water that goes that quick? Have you seen what it looks like at 1 and 5 thousandths of a second?
No.
It's friggin' amazing. Go and check that image out.
Yeah, will
For
do.
anyone who's listening.
Where have you put it?
Just all
what's
over
it on?
social media. It's all over just the social media. It's the posts I did about testing
I'll
the
have a
camera
look,
out. And it's, this water's dancing. I've actually captured it in time, but it just looks so obscure. It's so weird. It doesn't have a flow pattern to it at all. It actually looks like it's got an arm coming out the side, and everything's just so. It's normally when you shoot waterfall at a higher shutter speed, I'm talking sort of about 1/20th of a second.
Yeah.
You lose that silkiness to it, and it becomes very, very harsh.
Yeah.
This was actually shot that quick that it's not harsh. It's actually silkier smooth than a slow shutter speed. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's almost like you've obviously shot it too fast. It's done the opposite.
Yeah, incredible. So there's an example, of this light, but there's me ranting on. But yeah, it's another example of how you can shoot light in harsh light or not. Anyway, getting back to the subject, I've got some wisdom I'd like to share, and this is wisdom that I feel like I've acquired over years' experience taking images. Is that when we refer to light, I look at it on 3 different levels. So the first level for me is atmosphere, and atmosphere is in the morning, mainly. Okay, we know it's not always the case, but mainly when you're shooting in the morning, so, sunrise, you're capturing light with a certain atmosphere, whether that's fog or it's a bit of haze or it's something in the atmosphere, that the air itself that gives you that softer, that gives you something quiet to a landscape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're totally right, mate. Yeah. But
Then you've got sunset. So we've gone from atmosphere, then we go to sunset, which is colour. And we know that the best sunsets are normally in the evening because you have less atmosphere in the air that just gives you these better saturated colours in your skies, and you get these beautiful colours, right? So you've got one and the other, right? And then we've got this middle period, and that middle period for me, I refer to it as the best light. You know why? Because it's rare. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, it's the best. When you're in the mountains, you've got a freaking storm coming through and everything's going crazy and hell is above you. And all of a sudden, a beam of light comes through those clouds and goes bang onto the mountain face and you capture it. That is the best image you'll ever take. And that's rare. For me, that's the best light. It's that powerful light, you know?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's unique as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to take something that no one's ever going to replicate.
Well, I think this is the thing, though, is that you'll go to a location. A lot of people will turn up to a location. The light's crap. I'm going. I've had it. That's it. But they don't give a location time to develop. Whether that be with the weather, the conditions, whatever it might be. If you've got a shot in mind and you can see that it's probably going to work, you know, for whatever reason that is that I think it's always worth spending that time there, giving it an hour or two, not just turning up to a place and just thinking, well, the light's rubbish now. Because I don't know about you guys, but a majority of the places around the world, waiting 5 minutes, the light will change.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to kind of give time to an area, then the likelihood is you stand more chance of getting an image.
Yeah.
Especially mountain photography. You just have to look at mountain photography because weather develops around mountain ranges and all the rest of it. It changes like that.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Yeah. It's even the same in the woods, mate, because I know by when I leave my house, I know if the fog's really thick in certain areas on the drive there, I know where to go in the woods because the woods is slightly undulated and I know where the mist usually, just by experience of going over and over and over again, I know roughly the likelihood of where that mist will be thicker or thinner.
Yeah.
So then I think, right, I don't obviously when I leave the house, I don't think I'm going to go to that section of the woods today. I'll go depending on where I think the light is going to be best, or the fog's thicker or thinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I just think it's a bit of an experience maybe. That people just turn up and think, oh, it's crap. I'm going to go. Yeah, it might be crap, but just go somewhere else, or go back over and over and over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or hang around.
Or hang around.
Yeah.
But it's like if you hang around and you still don't get it, then you know next time.
Yeah.
It is almost like experience, I think. It's just they need to...
Well, I think it's all about slowing down as well.
Yeah.
It's really about slowing down because if you, like we said earlier on, if you're dedicating that time to that 1 hour in the morning or 1 hour at night, you haven't got the time. You haven't got the time to dedicate. Whereas if you're shooting all day, you've got all day to you know.
Especially if you're only shooting at weekends. You know, you're literally, let's just say you shoot Saturday morning, Friday, Saturday night. And Sunday. It's 4 times you can go out.
Yeah.
That's not enough to build a picture of what you want to shoot and be consistently successful, is it? If you're limiting yourself to 4 times, and the same location,
exactly.
You're just going to end up in getting frustrated, and it just baffles me really. But
today's episode of the Landscape Photography Vlogcast is proudly brought to you by f-stop camera bags, backpacks and accessories. Paul, Tom and Matt are all members of the f-stop Pathfinder program, active users of their gear, and highly endorse the product for its reliability, functionality and ruggedness. If you're looking for the best camera bag and accessories for your photography gear, then look no further than f-stop, making the lives of the visual storyteller easier.
See, there's one thing okay, I'll use an example. When you guys came over here, right?
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was the first night we were on location, and we're sitting there, we're kind of waiting for the light to do something, and it was getting, would have been about half an hour to sunset, maybe a bit more. And we're in front of that mountain that looks like that Kirkerville mountain in Iceland, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And we're sitting there waiting, and it's not happening. We looked at each other and we thought,
Montebolsa. Is that what?
Montebolsa.
Yeah, that's the one.
And we're thinking, it's not going to, what's happening? The light's not doing anything. And all of a sudden, we looked over the other side of another mountain towards where the castle was, and we saw that it was opening up over there, didn't we? Because it was very stormy where we were. So we made a split last-second decision, went in the car, 170 kilometres an hour on windy roads. I think I killed a few goats, ran over a sheep farmer, squashed a piece of cheese, and we ran up the hill. You remember? I can remember running up the hill. I remember Paul almost had a frigging stroke.
Yeah, I was nearly over breathing through the backside.
Yeah, almost had to almost intubate him. We got up the top, intubate, put a tube down your throat. We got to the top and the light started happening. Remember? And it just went mental. And we had like 5 minutes, and our hearts were going 100 miles an hour. And that 5 minutes, it was all over and it was done. But you know what I hated about that? As beautiful it was, seeing that 5 minutes and trying to capture it all in that 5 minutes, was thinking that you got an amazing photo. Come home, open it up, and you know what I hate about sunsets most of the time? The sky is beautiful, but there's no light on the landscape.
Yeah. And it's true.
And you've just got this, because why is that? You think, because in the morning, what's happened, temperatures dropped off at nighttime, so we get a moisture build up in the air, don't we, at nighttime?
Yeah.
The moisture builds up. And we get to the morning, you get this moisture, you get this atmosphere. And so when the sun does come out, when it does, it eventually comes out and then it clips that moisture that's created during the nighttime, and it gives you something special, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in sunset. You're actually fighting it in the other direction without all that moisture in the atmosphere the majority of the time. It can happen that we can get that, but
yeah, probably more likely for it to happen in the mountains. But it definitely that definitely doesn't happen around here. That fog doesn't kick in until that sun's gone down, the temperature's dropped.
Yeah.
And like you said, then it builds during the night. No, you're definitely right. That night we got amazing. We had a cloud inversion, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it up on the wall here.
Yeah, but the sun had already set. So, yeah, you are right. You had that real sort of cool blue with a colourful pastel sky.
Yep.
And no light.
No light on the land at all. And that's the thing that we found that with Gran Sasso along the other side as well.
Yeah.
Is that we had the same problem. You get beautiful colour in the sky, but then there's no light on the foreground. So it kind of looks a bit meh.
Yeah.
That's why it's good when you're in the mountains, like you talked about before. It's always good to, if you've got some interesting cloud movement coming in, you actually get better, more pleasing light in the mountains during the day than you do in the morning and the evening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that day that we was at that plateau, Matt, what was that?
That was the first night I took you guys out there, wasn't it?
That was incredible. That wasn't it? Afternoon was incredible.
That was the afternoon. That was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All that cloud build up and then it just opened and it's stunning.
And it's exciting as well because, like you said, it changes every 30 seconds.
It is. That's that rare light I'm talking about. That's the best light, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But like, when we went up Gran Sasso from the other side, I don't know, and you took some long shots as well, looking right, didn't you, Paul? And did you, Matt, as well? Looking towards the sun.
And
you got them layers. That's what I ended up doing because I'm not really a wide angle guy anyway, and it is such an impressive mountain and view, isn't it? I'm just not very good at making the best of that sometimes with a wide angle lens. I'm just trained to look tight all the time. So using the long lens and using the same principle that you said earlier about going small on the waterfall, I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
With that, I thought, well, there's no colour at my feet or light. So, and you guys had the sort of better foregrounds with the dominant rocks in the foreground. I was set quite back. So I was like, well, I haven't really got a foreground. So I'll just shoot where the best light is. Yeah. And make a composition the best I can out of what's over there. I didn't walk home. Like I know I couldn't walk home. But if I was in the Lake District or if I was in, I don't know, Snowdonia or I wouldn't have gone home. I would have pointed my camera at something where that was interesting, or
Yeah.
I wouldn't have stuck to my guns and gone home and thought that was a shit trip. The light was crap.
I think you have to really, not only do you have to look at where the light is on the land, but also look at exactly that. What focal length is going to work best for the light that you've got on the land?
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe, your wider shot's not going to work because you haven't got that light on the landscape. But as you say, a longer focal length to zoom in on where that light is hitting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or what's going on, is the better way to go.
And this does work. If you complement that wider scene, as we're saying, with an element that's going to sort of frame the landscape. Okay, I'll use an example. You're at a place where you got this beautiful mountain, all right? You got some undulating hills in front of you, and you got a mountain.
Yeah.
And maybe it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a couple of wispy clouds in the sky, but the light's not doing anything. It's intense, and it's probably not doing you any favors to do this wide-angle shot. If you found yourself a tree, all right, and you stepped behind the back of that trunk and used a branch as part of the scene to sort of accompany that mountain in the background, so that the mountain's not the dominating part of the scene anymore. It's being accompanied by part of a shaded tree where you got these details in this trunk or something, and you have this intenser light back with a backlit landscape that's intense behind it. It actually works really well.
Yeah.
Then that the sky doesn't have much importance anymore. It's the details of the tree, and then you've got this subtle, this subtle background that's not necessarily as important anymore. That's a technique you can use when you don't have the best light, you know.
You're right.
That's zooming in. Zooming in. If you look, Tom, the last couple of photos I've done, just specifically mountain photography, they're all shot during the day.
Yeah.
And they're some of the best ones. Some of the ones I'm really, really proud of. An extremely intense light. I mean, you've got to remember that we come from, I don't know if I brought this up before, we come from a background of film photographers. So we had these very few, because obviously my landscape photography wasn't as popular as it is now. And I'm even talking probably the last 15 years. So obviously pre-digital, we came from these big name photographers, very, very, very good photographers. I mean, anyone who was shooting film photography back in the day at a professional level, we're talking about people that they know what they're doing, you know. It's not easy shooting film. Anyone who thinks that photography is easy, try shooting film. You're going to find out that photography was not easy at all. We're very lucky to be in digital photography right now. We're very lucky because you can get away with everything. Back then, when you took that shot, the light had to be perfect. Okay? You couldn't bracket, you know? You couldn't draw you couldn't expose for your highlights, you know? You had to work with the light you had and made sure that one shot, bang, everything was perfect. And that took a lot of skill.
Yeah.
You really, really had to know everything about photography to get that done. Now, so what I'm trying to say is we came from those people telling us when we started, Paul, you started, 15 years ago yourself?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So you stepped into digital photography in the beginning, and you came from those people, those names, saying to us that sunrise and sunset is the best time to photograph. And it probably was most of the time with film photography. But in digital photography, we've got a big dynamic range we can work off, and we can make that light work in our behavior by using post-production techniques, using our sliders, open up our shadows, expose for our highlights. We can make it work for us, you know.
And it's just about knowing how to capture that when you're out in field.
Yeah, is.
It's a case of not exposing bang on right in the center of the meter anymore, because if you do that, it's going to be wrong. it's a case of underexposing an image so that the light isn't blown out or whatever it might be, and being able to bring it back. It's just about learning a different way of handling the light, I think.
And it's about being where you are too. I mean, Tom, you could tell, you know more about this than any of us. I mean, you predominantly, 95% woodland photographer, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the woods, if you put yourself in the right place, you can shoot any time of day and get bloody good light.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying at the weekend. Even in the winter, when the trees are bare, obviously it makes that harder because it's more like shooting a wide scene, you know.
Yeah.
But there's still cover, depending on what shoot of woodland. You know, obviously here we get a lot of, you know, the seasons are very distinctive, and when in the winter the oak trees and the beech trees are bald, you know.
Yeah,
but if
it's winter. Winter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Is it still winter over there, is it, guys?
Yeah.
It's not here. Not here.
But there's still patches where it's evergreen.
Yeah.
There's still, and I know that I put a video up a couple of weeks ago and got a little bit of flack from a couple of people saying that the woodlands I was shooting were boring, regimental. I can't remember what else he said. He said something else. And yeah, they are. I couldn't argue with him. But that doesn't mean there isn't shots there. It doesn't mean that you can take a picture.
Excuse me.
And someone looking at the picture doesn't know where it's taken. They don't know it's a boring plant. It's by a farmer. You know, they don't know that. So that's the kind of my point is about taking images. For me is about creating a story or creating a mood or a feeling, someone looking at it, and that relates to what the conditions are, what the subject is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would, when I take people out into the woods and I say, let's go over here, and then we walk into the plantation area, they're like, well, there's all them nice oaks over there.
So when he says he's taking people out into the woods, he's actually talking about when he's taking some people out to photograph.
Yeah, he's not just taking them there to bury them or anything.
Yeah.
It hasn't been for a while, but yeah, when I did take people out into the woods for a workshop.
When I take people out into the woods, yeah. Good.
And they get a bit funny. Well, not funny, but I
could just see you just holding, Little Red Riding Hood's hand and just,
Yeah, I just think, you just need to, like you said, Paul, slow down, and just, if something catches your eye, which is generally what, colour or light, you just need to go and have a look. Yeah. Rather than just thinking, I'm not going to, it's probably nothing.
Right.
Because it might not be nothing, but then you might go over there and see something else.
Exactly,
so, yeah.
And when you go out, don't limit yourself to a location that's only going to work in one light condition. Go to a location where you know that if you drive 15 minutes down the road, you've got a river inside the woods, or you've got a waterfall it's in shadow at a certain time of day, or work in a location where you know that you have lots of possibilities.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell you, we had Simon on a while back, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Simon Booth.
Yeah, well, and, what a podcast that was.
I know, and he's
what a legend.
Definitely a legend. I remember because I've only been doing this, 7 years maybe, and he was a big inspiration to me, and that's kind of the reason why I like shooting or like the challenge of a boring pine forest, because you get the pine cones and where they're so dense as well. I noticed at the weekend, where they're so obviously evergreen and they're very dark and damp environments, there's so much moss on the ground, which encourages mushrooms. There's so many like fields of mushrooms. I'm editing one now at the moment of not a field, just one. But there's
what?
Yeah, well, I'm I'm a clean freak. I wanted to find one mushroom on its own. Anyway, and there's so many little ecosystems and things that you can shoot on the ground.
Was it a magic mushroom, was it?
No, I don't know. It didn't taste too good. And then
He tried though. He gave it a due.
I got fired to drive home. And Simon's been a big influence on my thought process about light and subject.
You know, Simon, I could put in an envelope my toenail, right, and send it out to him. That guy could make a YouTube video on it the week after. He can shoot freaking anything and make it look good.
Yeah, he can.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah,
He
he shoots like brown leaves on the ground that most people wouldn't even look at it once, would they?
No.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't listened to the episode, go and listen to the episode and go and check out his YouTube channel. If I ever need inspiration, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine. You guys, you know, Luigi. If people out there, you might have heard Luigi. He's a friend of ours. We do workshops with him out here in Italy. Luigi Nesbier. He does weekly videos on YouTube, and recently he said to me that he was lacking some inspiration and didn't quite know where to go. It was bad weather, didn't want to go to the mountains, didn't want to go to the beach. He sort of just didn't have any inspiration out there to go and doing anything. And I said, go on Simon's channel. You'll find something. Because that guy he knows. And sometimes with light, it doesn't have to be that light, does it? It just has to be subjects.
Yeah.
You've got to know how to see. I personally, some of my best images are in harsh light. And I think one of my images we took, I don't know if it was on the last workshop, Paul, that we did together, or maybe it was when you guys came over and we're walking to the waterfall. On the way down, there was a tree that was isolated and was looking out into the valley, and the light was really, really harsh, and there was just a little bit of green. Yeah, it was the first time I went there. A little bit of green on those trees. And that tree just had such a beautiful shape to it. It was perfectly backlit, the saturations in that moment, in that light, had that really beautiful lime to them.
Yeah,
and
it was spring, wasn't it? It was spring.
Yeah, it was early
lines.
spring. That isolated tree, I just did a close-up of just the branch on its own with that valley at the back. And that for me, it's one of the best images I ever took, and the light was horrible, you know.
Yeah.
But it was the subject that happened to work well in that light. And if it was sunset, you wouldn't have been able to shoot that tree. It would have been completely different.
Well, this is it. It's just knowing what you can shoot in what light condition.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, light basically is everything, but it's only everything if you know how to use it in certain conditions.
Yep, definitely. Yeah.
I think when you're starting out, that's just not what you get taught, is it?
No, it's not. And this is the part of the problem, I think, and it does limit creativity massively.
It does.
Because you see it online, you just have to look. Everybody goes out at sunrise, sunset, and then you get images that look very samey.
Yeah.
But and then you get these photographers out there that do a lot of post-processing, like a lot of post-processing.
Yeah.
They manage to make their photographs work well in harsh light. You look at Max Rive, for example. Everyone knows Max Rive.
Yeah.
He's not my favourite photographer, but I do appreciate the style that he does. It's extreme. It's almost, his photography takes the digital world and reality on a very fine border, doesn't it? It's but his style of photography, he shoots in harsh light, and you can see it, but it tends to work with what he does, you know. So also, post-production does play a role in it. You need to know how to work your image in post-production. Doesn't necessarily mean manipulate it. How to work it. So how to expose correctly. There's a big thing. Expose for your highlights. Have to know if your sensor's powerful enough that you can drag your shadows up later on. I find this is a tip. I don't know if everyone does this, but I've got 2 camera settings on my camera, and I don't play with many settings on my camera. I've got 2 user settings, and the first user setting I've got in my camera is tripod. That's what I call it. So my tripod user setting is basically, it's fully manual. Everything in there's manual. My shake reduction is off because I'm on a tripod, so I don't want to send vibrations through my camera. And it's very, very, very simple setups. That's tripod. Then I've got handheld. So I've got shake reduction on. Now, in handheld, I'm not fully manual. I'm half and half. So I use shoot with AV mode. So I select my f-stop, but the camera selects the exposure based on the f-stop, right? Because normally handheld, it's very fast photography, isn't it? You pull your camera out, bang, you're done, right? But what I've done in that setting is I've underexposed by 2 stops automatically. So the camera always takes a shot 2 stops under, because I know with the sensor in my camera that the DR in it's so powerful, I can always regain those shadows later on. But at least I'm going to guarantee to myself that 90% of the time I'm not going to burn my highlights. And if you're shooting in harsh shadow, in harsh light, that's important to remember. You know, camera settings, working with it, understanding, using the digital camera to your I can't think of the word, to your benefit.
Advantage, yeah.
Advantage. There's the word I'm looking for. Thanks for that, mate.
Sorry. No, you're definitely right.
But that goes for it. Sorry, Tom, to interrupt.
Sorry.
As you were saying there, using the camera to your advantage is, if, as we were saying before about having the time to dedicate to an area or a location, use that time to figure out what those settings are. If you're waiting for the light to happen, experiment with it and see what it does.
Yeah, definitely.
In different light conditions. Sorry, Tom, carry on, mate.
No, I was just going to say, like, that's something that you learn, isn't it? When you and that's another thing. When people like switch camera systems all the time, or they're just trying to find, it's almost like there's another thing to try and find their feet. Once you find a camera system you're happy with, and you know you've generally invested a lot of money in lenses, which dictates the amount of times you can switch. But like knowing you, once you got once you know the area you were shooting, know the subject, you've been there enough times. Knowing your camera and knowing your capabilities then enables you to then think, what can I do with it in the post? And then once you know how to edit and what you can push, and so basically you need to know what you can get at the end of it before you take the image, don't you?
Yeah.
Once you know that I want it to look like this in Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever, then then you work backwards and think, right, I have to shoot 2 stops under. Like for me, I'm used to Paul as well. I'm the same, Matt. I have to shoot between 1 and 2 stops under on the Sony, because otherwise I lose my highlights.
Yeah.
And whereas before I used to think, oh, I have to shoot what my light meter says.
You don't think that way anymore because you can't rely on Sony's light meter.
No. And to be fair, you can't. No,
you can't.
Even the histogram,
the histogram's all over the place. We just not so long back, didn't we? When I still had the Sony, I said to you, the histogram on the Sony is all over the place.
Oh wow!
If you exposed what the histogram said, you'd be overexposed.
Yeah.
Wow.
I always shoot on. I ignore the light meter, and I always shoot with that histogram buried to the left-hand side normally. Sometimes it even shows it's clipping my shadows, but I know it ain't.
Yeah.
And you know, when you turn the zebra stripes on, or the the blinkies.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's still the histogram and the light meter says I'm properly exposed, but it will still flash to say I'm blurring my highlights. So I kind of have to work a picture of the 3 and experience to think, right, that I know it's right now. But yeah, no, you're definitely right. Knowing your camera and getting everything set, definitely. And the experience of editing images, which you only gain over time, isn't it? Is you need to be able to visualize. It's like anything, isn't it? You build an extension on your house, or I don't know, you do your car app, or being able to visualize what you want at the end makes the process from start to finish so much less stressful, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
I think so, for sure. I think it's just a case of really bearing with the light that you're given. Get to know your camera. Get to know that the weather patterns change so frequently, and don't get fixed in this mindset as though you've only got 2 hours a day to shoot.
So why do you think that that's what we get taught then? Do you think it's the workshop business coming out?
No, I know. Like I said before, because we had only very few photographers to wrote the first books that we knew about photography. And
We based our own film on it.
based around film photography. So for film photography, to capture that light, the majority of the time it was at sunrise or sunset.
Yeah.
And obviously there's less photographers around. There's only a few, and I shot with film. I know what it was like to shoot with film, and I can still remember trying to expose now, and it was a freaking nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. And so all my shots, unless it was street photography, any of my landscape stuff was done at sunrise and sunset. I didn't have the experience. You had some of those brilliant photographers out there like Joe Cornish, who knew that you could get good light during the day too, and they had the patience and the time and the experience to know where to go to get that light. But we had the other photographers, the hobbyists too, the people that were doing it as a hobby, who didn't have access to that experience, who would just shoot at sunrise and sunset because it was easy to expose,
Yeah.
and to get good results without post-production, that's when you did it, because it's more natural that you would get good light at that time of day, and there's no post-production involved. Bang out of the camera, how it was is how it was. So the chances you were going to get a nice sunrise was a lot higher, wasn't it?
I suppose, like, as well, as to the hobbyist, it suits family lives, doesn't it?
It does. You can go out and do an hour's photography and come home.
Yeah. And the same evening, the kids are in bed, or I'm off to the missus, or I'm off to the husband, or whatever. And it doesn't really, like you said, it doesn't really affect the family routine, does it?
Yeah.
I suppose it suits everyone, really.
But yeah, going back to that time anyway, not more about the roots, but if you are going to go on workshops, people, don't get stuck into this thing when you're on workshop, it's just sunrise and just sunset. When you're out there, push your guides. Who takes you out? Your photographers, to stay out. You're paying to be out all day.
Exactly. I wouldn't dream of saying to people you've only got 2 hours to shoot a day.
No.
way.
And there is a lot of them out there.
Yeah, you see it. We've got so many hours downtime, and I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lost opportunity in my eyes.
I mean, look at the ones we do over here, Paul. I mean, obviously, I do find it a beautiful part of the workshop to be sitting in a typical Italian restaurant and having a beautiful meal, because people are coming to Italy. Let's face it, they want to eat. They want to eat good food too, don't they?
And drink good wine.
But I wouldn't. But I wouldn't dream of taking a group into a restaurant during the day and staying there for 3 hours. Or saying, okay, time out, guys. Go and have a rest in the hotel room for the next 4 hours, and we'll catch up just before sunset. It doesn't work like that. You should be out on field as much as possible. And if the light isn't good, encourage your guides to say, okay, let's go elsewhere. Let's go to another location. Let's not stay here and wait for something to happen if it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast. It's been an interesting one that we thought we would really want to discuss, because I think we brought it up on another live stream we were doing, actually, about the fact that there's too much relying on sunrise and sunset times, and you're missing a lot of fantastic opportunities for some great images.
Definitely.
So, been fantastic to discuss this, guys. Been great fun.
Yeah, it has. I want to say one thing before we close.
Of course.
Look, there's lots of other podcasts out there, lots of other landscape photography specific podcasts too, and people who do listen to the podcasts out there, there's some great ones out there. And obviously we hear some of the brilliant minds in landscape photography being interviewed on the podcasts. You've heard some of the people we've interviewed, not just us talking, but if anyone out there has a suggestion of someone they would like to come on to the podcast, someone that has been missed, let's say, within the podcast world, let us know. There could be someone out there that a lot of people want to hear talk, and no one's thought to ask them to come on. So, don't be afraid to ask us.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to get them on. Just let us know who you want.
For sure.
And we'll reach out to them and see what we can do for you.
Yep.
Well, guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. We'll see you on the next podcast. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.